Hi guys, Dr. Rob Barrington here with some more nutrition advice. We're close to midwinter here in the United Kingdom, and that means it's been 3 or 4 months since we've had sunlight strong enough to cause subcutaneous vitamin D production. The result of this is that most people in the United Kingdom who don't supplement with vitamin D will be seeing rapid declines in their vitamin D status. Levels of the active metabolite of vitamin D, 2,5-hydroxyvitamin D, will be dropping to their nadir. And this leaves those people who don't supplement open to infection, because increasingly vitamin D is being seen as necessary in preventing these types of upper respiratory tract infections. In fact, all infections really, vitamin D is being seen as a hormone that is integral to the function of the immune system. It's no coincidence that we get lots of infections in the winter, and at the same time our vitamin D status is at its lowest. So this is really just a reminder to take your supplements of vitamin D in order to be able to maintain the high levels of 2,5-hydroxyvitamin D that we can obtain through the sunlight during the summer months. The current recommendations are for adults to take at least 2,000 IU of vitamin D every day during the winter, and the actual levels to maintain optimal levels of 2,5-hydroxyvitamin D may be even higher than that, maybe up to 4,000 or 5,000 IU. It depends really on your metabolism, it depends on your body size, it depends on the types of food you eat and how much vitamin D you get from your foods as well. But supplementing with a minimum of 2,000 IU is now really a general recommendation for all adults that aren't exposed to adequate sunlight. Now, that's a lot of guesswork in taking vitamin D, because it's very difficult to know what your plasma concentrations are. There are no real signs or symptoms unless you start to take lots and lots of it. There are some toxicity symptoms that can come if you do take too much of it, but it's very difficult to actually tell what your levels are. Obviously, if you're getting frequent colds and frequent infections, then you're probably not taking enough. But again, this is all guesswork. A better way would be to have a blood test. If you have a blood test, you need to have a blood test for 2,5-hydroxyvitamin D. And the recommendation is that 2,5-hydroxyvitamin D concentrations in your plasma should be above 40 nanograms per milliliter, which in an alternative currency is around about 100 nanomoles per litre. Now that is the amount that you require as a minimum to stop you getting a vitamin D insufficiency. That is likely not the optimal plasma concentration. Optimal plasma concentration may be between 80 and 100 nanograms per mil, which would be getting on for 250 nanomoles per litre. So these are the sort of figures that you should be looking at. You can quite easily get 2,5-hydroxyvitamin D tests. You can have your levels tested as you take supplements to see how many IU you need per day in order to be able to maintain that level. Of course, you could go on a sunbed. That's another alternative. It's slightly safer. Subcutaneous production of vitamin D is much safer, because you can't. It's never produced in excess. As soon as you have enough vitamin D, subcutaneous production ceases, so you can't have a toxicity of vitamin D from subcutaneous production. So it's a much safer way of doing it. Exposure to UV light is the best way, of course. Obviously, if we don't have access to the sun, it has been shown in studies that exposure to UV light through sunbeds is also able to increase plasma levels of vitamin D. If you don't like sunbeds for various reasons, you don't want to go on one, then obviously you need to take supplements. There isn't enough vitamin D in our foods to maintain our plasma levels throughout the winter. Even if you ate a diet that contained lots of foods which were rich in vitamin D, it would be very unlikely that you'd be able to maintain those kind of plasma levels. So you really must supplement. Don't forget to take the vitamin D3 form of the vitamin. Although there is a vitamin D2 form that will raise your plasma levels, it's not as effective. It's more readily removed from the body, and therefore it's less biologically active. So it's the vitamin D3 form that you want, and you want around about 2,000 IU per day throughout the winter months as a minimum. it's very important to look around you at the moment how many people are getting ill. Not many people really consider nutrition important in their lives. So it's important to take care of yourself and your own family. Many people can't be reached through, no matter what you tell them, they won't be interested in nutrition. The best thing that you can do for yourself is take your vitamin D and protect yourself from these colds and this flu that's doing the rounds at the moment. If you're not taking vitamin D, I would suggest that you do look on my blog, look on other websites. There's a very good website by the Vitamin D Council that explains how much vitamin D you need. It goes into all the research of what vitamin D does in the body and how it works. And this isn't pseudoscience. This is now mainstream science. It's very recent science, and it's only been the last 5 years or so that this vitamin D research has really exploded. But vitamin D is a hormone. It's not a nutrient. It's not a vitamin. It's called a vitamin, but it's really a hormone. It's a steroid hormone, and its role is far greater than we previously thought in terms of human physiology. It was originally thought to be required for calcium metabolism, the prevention of rickets and osteomalacia. But more recently, it's been shown to be actually integral to the production of certain proteins that are required for the immune system. It's been shown to involved in possibly in insulin regulation, which is why those people with vitamin D insufficiencies are at higher risk of type 2 and type 1 diabetes. And it's new roles for this steroid hormone are being found all the time. So this is something that's really interesting in nutrition at the moment. You can see the effects of reduced vitamin D concentrations around you. Everybody starts to get ill throughout the winter. It gets worse and worse, and then around this time of year, midwinter, lots and lots of people getting this flu that's going around, lots and lots of people getting colds. Protect yourself, go and get some vitamin D and take a supplement of vitamin D. It's one of the best things you will ever do nutritionally. It's one of the best things I've ever done. Looking into vitamin D was one of the most interesting nutritional avenues that I've been down. It's only a very recent phenomena understanding how this vitamin D works. If you think that you don't need nutrients as supplements, if anyone tells you that you don't need supplements, this is a great example of a nutrient that you must supplement. You simply can't get enough vitamin D in your diet. Even diets that contain foods with high levels of vitamin D cannot maintain plasma levels at the required level in order to be able to maintain your immune system throughout the winter. So this is one of those great examples when somebody tells you that you don't need supplements, and doctors say sometimes, you don't need supplements, you get all the nutrients you need in your food. That's not true. It's provably not true, and the literature and the scientific evidence is mounting to show that vitamin D supplements are actually required in the absence of suitably strong sunlight. And that's another myth put to bed, that sunlight is bad for you, it causes cancer. The opposite is possibly true. Those people that are exposed to more sunlight produce high levels of vitamin D, and vitamin D is actually protective of cancer. So a lot of the things that we think are true, a lot of these myths that are peddled in textbooks from 50 years ago, the nutritional literature is constantly changing, and this is very exciting. So my recommendation is, if you're not taking a vitamin D supplement that you currently, you need to go and get a vitamin D supplement, the vitamin D3 form of the vitamin, and you need to, as an adult, take around about 2000 IU throughout the winter in order to be able to maintain your plasma levels, and that should protect you from many of these colds and viruses that are currently doing their rounds in the United Kingdom.